The phrase spaghetti code has always been fascinating to me. Since the day I came to the community, I've had this slight inkling that the community doesn't really know how game development actually works. Further time in the community pretty much solidified it, what with how people seem to think that game developers are akin to genies, where you wish for something to happen and then they twinkle their nose, do a little dance, and do a rendition of Friend Like Me from Aladdin, and boom, now you have the ability to shoot the killer with a .47 Magnum, and there's an official in-game interaction of Elodie pegging Dwight. All our dreams have been achieved, and I just don't understand why the devs won't do it. But that's not the way that development works. It's all a process, not just on the coding side, but also on the business side. Every decision has to make it through a firewall of executives who know nothing and run everything. Every cosmetic, balance decision, new characters, new maps, events, quality of life changes, and more have to be justified to a bunch of stuffy suits whose only concern is cheating on their wives with a secretary, afraid of losing her job in an oligarchy society, and buying their 15th yacht while people starve in the streets. And then, once the decisions are approved, it then falls on the developers to begin working on that thing. They need to get the art done, the 3D modeling, and the most important and time-consuming part, the coding. There's obviously a much deeper process at work, but you're not here for me to give you a crash course on game development. You're here to hear me tell silly jokes and provide a talking point to spark interesting discussion. In that vein, let's talk about bugs and whether or not behavior is refusing to fix the bugs, or whether or not they actually can't fix the bugs. I was spending some time in the homie Tatariu stream the other day, and Tat was talking about his tendency to spam Legion bugs at the devs and wait for them to fix them. I got to talking with some of his chat, and I started to wonder, do some bugs exist because letting those rather inconsequential bugs like small animation errors or random glitch texture is better to have in the game rather than to fix it and break what is a very fragile foundation the game is built upon? Wrapping back around to the spaghetti code foolishness we mentioned earlier, it's an interesting point of view, because on one hand, all code is spaghetti code. Every game ever made will have bugs when updated. It's the nature of coding. Changing one period and suddenly the sky has turned from blue to white, and now you gotta figure out how to keep the change while getting the sky to fucking act correctly. Seriously, take a coding class for even a week and you'll find out the headache that comes with it. On the other hand, I also understand the sentiment when it comes to DBD specifically, because shit that shouldn't be related somehow gets shifted. For example, as of the latest mid-chapter patch, it is now possible for both Billy and Blight to ricochet off of survivors as if they were obstacles. Why this happens, or what in the mid-chapter could have possibly caused this, no one but the devs know, and how they intend to fix it when it does get fixed, we also don't know. Another major difference between other games and DBD is the only game most of us know that has a game-breaking bug nearly every single patch. And it's the only game that has to have some sort of Hydra DNA in its non-genetic code, where they fix one bug and 12 more of various severity and relatability pop up. And if you think it's frustrating or downright tilting for us as the players, imagine the poor devs who constantly get told how incompetent and stupid they are because this game was programmed by like 15 dudes who thought it was gonna die in a week. Continues the most bizarre shit known to man. The reality is that Drive by Domino's was built as an indie game with no plans to be more than that. That now has to hold up the weight of a AAA title. So with all this code made of paper mache and Lincoln Logs that's more tangled than a pair of iPhone headphones that have been sitting untouched on top of your dresser for 6 months, it's a question not of whether or not the devs refuse to fix some of the more minor bugs, again, like animation, T-posing, etc., that don't really affect gameplay, or if they simply can't without shattering the very shaky foundation the game is built upon. It's also worth remembering that the devs need permission before touching things. I don't know how high up the chain of command they have to go, but before changing anything in the game, they need to communicate the decision to their superiors and get approval, which is the issue with working for a corporation. And also, it's a matter of other resources. Some lead devs or execs might not find the delayed gen kick animation or desynced palette break as important as other things, like making sure skins are implemented correctly or even a balance code, and therefore want as many programmers on other issues as they can. So with all that in mind, I leave the question to you. Do you think that some bugs stay in the game for months or even years because the devs won't fix them, or they can't fix them? Let me know down below. And as always, a great big special thank you to my channel members listed on screen now. If you want to find out how to become a channel member today, get awesome perks like seeing videos early, merch discount codes, and more, then please click that join button down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.